Hello everybody, Internet back again on the video. Alright guys, I have a little break here at my work and I have got a question a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't have time to do a video because I'm really busy with job, family, kids, etc. But I have a little break here for 10 minutes and I'm going to try to do a video in 10 minutes here to explain. The title to this video is who is the greater player, Federer or Nadal? Because some of you has asked me this question and want to hear my opinion. Who of these two players I consider the greatest? Because we know that who I consider to be the all-time greatest tennis player of all time, the greatest tennis player of all time at the current moment, and that is Novak Djokovic with 23 Grand Slam titles. Who is the second greatest tennis player of all time at the current moment? Is it Federer or is it Nadal? We all know that Nadal has 22 Grand Slam titles and Federer has 20 Grand Slam titles. Nadal has been world number one, I believe, 209 weeks, and Federer has been world number one 310 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So Federer has been more world number one than Nadal for 101 more week than Nadal. So Federer obviously is much better than Nadal in that department. He has been more world number one than Nadal for 101 more week than Nadal. Federer 310 weeks as world number one, Nadal 209 weeks as world number one. And other great things that Federer has that Nadal doesn't. For instance, Federer has won the ATP Tour Finals 6 times. Nadal has never won it. They have both ended as world number one in the season 5 times each, if I'm not mistaken, to end at the season as world number one. Both of these two giants has ended the season as world number one 5 times each. But Nadal has won the Olympic gold, which Federer has not, at least not in singles. We all know Federer has won the Olympic gold in doubles, but that is not the same thing as winning it in singles, which Nadal has done it. He's won the Olympic gold in singles in 2008. And then Nadal has more Master 1000 titles than Roger Federer. Nadal has 36 Master 1000 titles. Federer has 28. So Nadal has 8 more Master 1000 titles than Roger Federer. Which Master 1000 titles is a pretty big thing after all, because if you look at if you rank the tournaments, Grand Slams are the biggest measure we have in tennis. Let's face it, we all know this. To win Grand Slam title, that is the biggest prize in tennis. Grand Slams are the World Cup of tennis, alright? But after that, some people believe it is the ATP Tour final, where the best 8 players in the world compete in the season finale. I can agree with that. Maybe that is the tournament that is the biggest tournament after the Grand Slams. After all, you get 1,500. You get 1,500 points to win that tournament. 1,500 points. To win the Master 1000 tournament, you get 1,000 points. So you get more points in winning the ATP Tour Finals. So Federer has won it 6 times, Nadal has never won it. But Nadal has the edge over Federer in the Masters, alright? Like I said, Nadal has won 36 Master 1000 titles. Federer has won 28. If you look at the head-to-head, these two giants have faced each other 40 times. The head-to-head is 24-16 to Nadal's favor. So Nadal has defeated Federer 24 times. Federer has defeated Nadal 16 times. I know that many of these meetings, they were on clay. I'm going to come where they faced each other and how many times. Like I said, they faced each other 40 times. By the way, this is very interesting. Before I get out of the topic, Djokovic and Federer has faced each other 50 times, with where Djokovic leads Federer on the head-to-head 27-23. So, and Federer and Nadal and Djokovic have faced each other 59 times, where Djokovic leads Nadal 30-29 in the head-to-head. So we need only one meeting between Djokovic and Nadal to get that magic number to 60. So I really hope that they will face each other at least one more time before both of these two giants retire and get to that magic number to 60 meetings between Nadal and Djokovic. Anyway, without getting out of the topic, they face each other 20 times on hard courts, Nadal and Federer. The head-to-head there is 11-9 to Federer. All right, so the majority of times that they have faced each other, it is on hard courts. 20 times. Federer leads over Nadal 11-9. They face it, the second place where they have faced each other most times is on clay, 16 times. And of course, Nadal dominates Federer completely there with 14-2 in the head-to-head. And the least time they faced each other is, of course, on grass. They faced each other on grass 3 times. Well, where Federer leads Nadal 3-1 on grass. And all these matches combined, 20 times on hard courts, 16 times on clay, and 4 times that they faced each other on grass, we get it to 40 times that they faced each other. So the only stat where Nadal leads over Federer, and he dominates him there, it is of course on clay, where he leads Federer 14-2. The other 2 stats, hard court, Federer leads over Nadal 11-9, and the other stat on grass, Federer leads over Nadal 3-1. All right, so there we have the head-to-head. If you look at the majors counts, because the majors are a big thing in tennis, obviously, Nadal leads over Federer at Australian Open 3-1. All right, which that should not be the case, because Federer is, after all, hard courts and grass is Federer's best surface. All right, Nadal leading Federer on clay 14-2, not so much to discuss there. Nadal is the greatest clay court player of all time by far. Nobody comes close to him on clay. So him leading over Federer 14-2 on clay, pretty expected. Federer's clay was Federer's worst surface. But and Federer has never had a chance against Nadal at French Open. I should put that there as well. Federer faced Nadal at French Open 6 times. He never was close to defeating Nadal. But Nadal leading Federer at Australian Open 3-1, that is not a good grade for Roger Federer, because after all, he is a 11 times hard court Grand Slam winner, 6 times at Australian Open and 5 times at US Open. So that is, and Nadal leading over that guy 3-1 at Australian Open hard court Grand Slam, like Australian Open is 3-1. That is not a good grade for Roger Federer. Anyway, and then we have the grass where Federer leads over Nadal 3-1. So, and if you look all the titles won, all the titles, not only majors, Federer has won 103 titles, and he will of course never win more because he has retired. Nadal has won, I believe, 92 titles, if I'm not mistaken. So Federer has won at the current moment 11 more titles than Rafael Nadal in total. Who is the greatest player between these two? After all this considering, I still will give that to Rafael Nadal. I respect those who say that Federer is greater than Nadal. It's like Gotovic, he did a video about that a couple of months ago. I respect that. Do I agree with that? Not. Do I understand? Do I respect those guys, those people, those tennis fans around the world who has Federer the better player than Nadal? Yeah, I respect that. I understand that, because after all, Federer has won more Wimbledons than Nadal. Federer has won more Australian Opens than Nadal. Federer has won more US Opens than Nadal. But when you look, Nadal leads over Federer in the head-to-head. Nadal has more Masters than Federer. Nadal has more... Federer leads only 11-9 over Roger Federer on the hard court. Only 11-9. That is not much. Nadal defeated Federer at Australian Open 3 times. One of those times in a final. Nadal defeated Federer at Wimbledon. He did that only once, but he did that at least. Federer never came close of defeating Rafael Nadal at French Open. Never. He didn't even took Nadal to 5 sets, let alone beating him in 6 meetings that Federer faced Nadal at French Open. With all this considering, and not to forget the most important stat that Nadal has over Roger Federer, that the most important stat, the biggest measure that we have in tennis, and you know, guys, which that is. You know it. I know Federer has some stats over Nadal, more world number 1 in weeks. He has won the season finale 6 times. Nadal has never won it. He has won Australian Open, Wimbledon, US Open, much more than Rafael Nadal. But Federer doesn't have the most important stat over Nadal. Federer has not won more majors than Rafael Nadal. Yeah, I know 60% of Rafael Nadal's majors that he has won is at French Open, but French Open is a Grand Slam tournament. It is not a 250 class tournament. It is not a 500 class tournament. It is not a Master 1000 tournament. French Open is a Grand Slam tournament, and Rafael Nadal has 2 more majors than Roger Federer. And I will give in my opinion, Rafael Nadal is the slightly greater player than Roger Federer. Not with much, but slightly. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give a thumbs up, subscribe to this time. Peace.